Good.
Are we on? Like that one?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, let's see. What were we talking about?
About ideas?
Yeah. Maybe you can talk and then maybe play one more. Let's see, what was it? But do you think that you could you talk a second to that the idea of the shaman and the drummer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally understand that. And what you were talking in comparisons to, you know, basically the ideas and the creativity coming from somewhere else, and us basically channeling it, and because if it all came from us, from within us, we would be able to perform everything we thought of. Where quite often you get ideas and concepts that we can't that I can't physically do. Something will come into my head, and it's like I can't play that. I need to practice that. That's so now we're dealing with something totally different. Because if it were up to me, I'd think of everything I could already do, because I would work within my own limitations. Where if you're getting channel, or if you're channeling something, obviously wherever it's coming from, God, or you know wherever your head's at, it doesn't care whether you can do it or not. You're getting it, so you better figure it out. And that's happened sometimes. It happens to me a lot. And I'll play something at a rehearsal and say, oh, yeah, we got to do that, Jay. Just keep doing that. And it's like, I can't. I got to work on it. And everyone will go away for like 20 minutes sometimes, and I'll just practice it, or I'll say, well, let me do that next week. Let me practice that. And that's always, it's always kind of intrigued me that these things just come out of nowhere and like, boom, here it is. Learn it, you know. So I think that's very much the shaman, because that was exactly, a shaman was just a conduit, you know. We're all just conduits, and hopefully you're getting the good stuff, you know, and that's about it. So yeah, I could see that, Randy, and yeah, attribute that to him, absolutely. You play a little?
the elbow thing. That's something that he would do.
The pitch bends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like Elvin on, you ever get the Sonny Chirac album, Ask the Ages?
No, I don't have that one. I mean, Elvin's like one of my
He's
favorites.
playing ballads on it.
Oh, I actually got to play his cymbals. It's Maxwell's in New York.
Nice.
They broke them out of the case for me because they knew I was such an Elvin fan, and they set up his hi-hats and his riveted ride, and I sat behind this drum kit and just I played. What did I play? This groove. This is an Elvin groove. That groove. That was like the first thing. I was like, I got to play an Elvin groove if I'm playing on a cymbals, you know.
Yeah.
So that was something else.
What about can you talk about your influences and how Randy would say you can't escape your influences. You sounded like Paul Motion or whatever, and he'd say, yeah, well,
Yeah.
Paul Motion, he's an influence, of course.
Yeah, I don't think you can help, but you can't escape your influences. You cannot.
So in a sense, it's like nothing is really original.
Yeah,
it's like so hard to really, you really got to push it to play something in a way original, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's. I always look at it like, you could have 10 people in the room, 10 drummers in a room, all playing the same thing, and each one of them is going to sound a little different because they're all just a little different. So we might even be saying the same thing on the drums or playing the same thing. You aren't going to play it the way I would play it, And I think that's more of where the originality comes from. It's actually your own fingerprint you're putting on it. But yeah, I play things, and I played shows before, and someone can come up and say, "Oh, I noticed that little Tony Williams thing you did." Well, yeah, I've been listening to Tony Williams forever, or that little thing you did, that little hip thing was kind of like a Jack DeJohnette, and but the amazing thing to me, with that being said, is the pioneers of drumming, let's say, like Papa Joe Jones from the Count Basie Orchestra. I don't know where he got his influence, because, the drum set's a relatively new instrument. Not the drum, but the trap set, the drum set. And to have someone like Papa Joe Jones, who, he got overshadowed by Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, but to me is probably the most creative drummer out of all of that era, and with all the finger and playing the drums with your hands, and a lot of these things these days that people think that don't go that. See, I went far back. I went to the history of drumming. It was like I always look at this guy's my influence. Well, who influenced him? Would have been kind of cool if it were.
Show up.
But that's how I did it. This guy's my drummer, my influence, so influenced him. This guy influenced him. Well, who influenced him? This guy influenced, and I've always gone down the food chain, if you will, the evolution of the instrument. And I think that's really important. You got to know where your influences come from.
Right. So do you think that kind of tying in with having structure to a certain degree, it's like really knowing history.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians